There are many women who like sex who stop liking it because the guy sucks in bed. I'm speaking from experience. I will explain first the male point of view so that you will all understand that I understand men. A man is designed to be aroused very quickly. That's by nature's design, that's by God's design. You men are designed to get aroused fast. Seeing a woman in a bikini, seeing a woman in a skirt walk by, seeing a ponytail, hearing someone talk. And when you're aroused, it's quick. You're instantly hard. From reading your newspaper to a full erection in 5 seconds or less. And once you're aroused, your body wants to touch a woman, penetrate a woman, be with a woman. You just want to get in there, into her body, and experience her. Maybe you want to pleasure her, maybe you just want to get off. And in your mind, a woman is the same way. After all, you see it in porn all the time. They're always ready to go. And they seem to love it. They don't need any kissing or warm up. And in your mind, she's ready to go and you just go at it. What's the problem? Why does your wife or your girlfriend need all this warm up? What's wrong with her? A woman is designed very differently. Her genitalia is internal and not external. And even if she wants to have sex with someone, to get from reading the newspaper to being fully engorged in her erectile tissue can take 20 or 30 minutes to full engorgement. Now, she can have intercourse long before that, but to be fully engorged the way that you are in 5 seconds, her body will take 25 or 30 minutes. She has a lot of pleasure zones. Besides her clitoris, there's the vagina, there's the cervix, the G-spot, I guess. Her body is made differently. Her body, from a biological perspective, is meant to be very selective because she has 1 egg a month. Whereas you have millions of sperm many times a day. And you're designed to just impregnate. She has 1 egg a month. And if this egg is fertilized, her body carries a very high cost. Her life carries a very high cost. For the pregnancy, the risk of death during pregnancy, all the extra food she has to consume, the weight she gains, giving birth, nursing the baby, raising the baby. She's mostly responsible for that child's first year of life. There's a higher cost to pay, and so nature designed women to be very selective. And not just very selective, but also for some reason slower to warm up. I don't know why, you guys. I don't know why we're slower to warm up. But we are. I'm just trying to explain it. And whereas a man is going to be aroused within seconds, just seeing a visual, a woman will be aroused based on how she feels about the guy, how she feels about him, her emotions. Her emotions are what guides her arousal. Now you're going to say, hey, Shahrazad, what about these women that just go hooking up with guys? She likes him. She likes him. Let's say there's a woman that meets a guy at a bar. He sees her. He's already thinking sex. He's hard. Maybe she's not sure yet, but she thinks he's sexy, the way he's talking to her, the way he's flirting to her. Now she's feeling emotionally engaged, emotionally engaged. That's going to lead to her being turned on. It's a very important difference. So the man starts out being physically aroused. He can be emotionally engaged, and many men do want some emotional connection before they have sex with someone. But the main factor is their physical arousal. The emotional engagement is nice, but not necessary. For the woman, the main factor is the emotional arousal that leads to the physical arousal. The more the woman is emotionally aroused by you, the more turned on she will be. So in a relationship, if there's any kind of discord, lack of emotional connection, or you ignoring her emotionally during sex by keeping your eyes closed, not caring if she enjoys herself, it will hurt her heart. She won't want to have sex again. That, in a nutshell, is it. People are complaining, some of you, my videos are too long. Well, there's the short version. If you like longer videos, keep listening. I'm going to keep talking. So in essence, what I was saying is that a man who makes sex purely physical is going to end up with a wife that wants nothing to do with him touching her at all. No touch at all. Now, why is that? She won't even want to hold your hand or hug you because this is not safe. Why is it not safe? She knows the moment she gives you access to one finger, you're going to want to hold her hand, and then you're going to want to touch her breast, and then you're going to want to stick your dick in there and make it only physical and make it really bad again. So she avoids your touch altogether. I'm giving you some advice, guys. If your wife has stopped any kind of intimate touch, even naked laying body on body, you can, if you're bad at sex, still enjoy the sensual touch if you make it safe. A man who's bad at sex and cannot be satisfied with just the physical closeness is not physically safe to her. Her body has already, she knows. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. If I know the moment I walk naked out of the shower, my husband, who hasn't looked me in the eyes for weeks, hasn't asked me out on a date in months, hasn't touched me in months, the moment I walk naked out of the shower, he's going to want to stick his dick in me. I will never walk naked out of the shower, ever again. I will not hug him. I will not touch him because I don't want to be groped. I don't want this kind of cold groping. Now, he may be a very affectionate man. He's a very affectionate man. He's a good provider. He's a good family man. He does stuff around the house. He's very respectful. Opens the door for me and everything. But the second he touches me, his emotions are left outside the bedroom, and he makes it a purely physical act where, and I'm not speaking from experience necessarily, but his focus is on his dick. He's worried about how hard he stays. He doesn't care about my pleasure. He's just trying to get off. He's humping on top of me, looking up at the ceiling, closing his eyes, and it doesn't feel good. I don't want it. There's a big difference between the man who's penetrating a woman, which feels really good, like I'm just going in and out. I'm just going in and out of something. Feels really good. But the person being penetrated has a much different experience. And if you don't know that, that's a good place to start. It's a good place to start, guys. The reason I understand men is because I've tried to understand men. I've thought about, what if I had a dick? What would it feel like? What would I want to do with it? I'd want to stick it in every woman because they're all so pretty. And I think it's good for men to think about, what would it be like if I was a woman and I had this body that all men just wanted to access without caring what I want. It can you start maybe feeling like a wall building up around you? Because if you're a man, imagine being a woman and having all these men wanting to stick their penises inside your body. What would you want as a woman, if you were a woman, before you would enjoy that or allow that? So that's kind of how I came about understanding men a little better. Now, the guys that are really good in bed, they're very sensual. A man who's good in bed actually has to have his heart engaged the whole time. I know your penis can overpower it, but your heart has to be engaged. To be good in bed, guys, your heart has to be engaged, your empathy. You need empathy. You can think of sex as a more intimate hug. You can start with hugging. You should be able to give a good hug and notice how the other person is responding to your hug. Do they like it? Do they not like it? You have to have empathy and a kind of understanding of the other person's body and their response. Many men, older men especially, the guys that are bad in bed are usually either older men or men that are super entitled. Somewhere in their childhood, I believe, could be wrong, they were either shamed for having feelings, so they cut their feelings off, or they were raised to be very entitled, where they were not required to consider the feelings of anyone else around them. They were the little king of the house. That can happen to women too. You hear about these like people who commit these crimes, horrible crimes, and their parents are always bailing them out. Like Casey Anthony, she had no empathy. Her parents bailed out of everything. She never had to learn as a child to consider the feelings of other people. So there are different ways that people can grow up to become very selfish or just have no empathy in the bedroom. And if you don't have empathy, you can't be good in bed, period. You were probably hoping in this video I would give you a bunch of techniques like lick her this way, lick her that way, then do this, then do that. If you're doing that, you're performing, you don't have empathy. Good sex is two people being in the moment, being sensual, and bringing their whole self, their emotional and mental and physical selves into a joint experience. You can think of people doing this when they play a card game, a board game, they play tennis, they go on a hike, they have dinner together. There are many ways in which people interact together where they have to have empathy that they're not having sex. Like a conversation is a good example of having empathy. Am I really listening when you're talking, or am I thinking what I'm going to say next? The next time I see you, I'm going to check in on this thing that you told me about? Or am I just doing all the talking because it's all about me? Do I have something to say? Am I sharing of myself? Or am I repressed? I have nothing to say, I'm only going to listen. Do I have preferences? I mean, these are all things that come into the bedroom that contribute to having good sex, in my opinion. Do I have a little bit of courage, a little bit of badassness, a little bit of playfulness? But empathy is the main one. Older men were raised in an age, like men born before the 60s for sure, maybe even before the 70s. They were raised at a time when boys were not allowed to have feelings. Comes back from the war era. You can't have feelings. You're a boy. You're tough. You got to work. You got to work. You got to fight a war. You got to provide. I think many women weren't allowed to have feelings either because life was hard. When life is hard, you're not allowed to have feelings. Having feelings is a luxury, I think, for people who have their physical needs already met. Now you can pay attention to feelings. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I remember when I was little, and I'm born in 1961, I'm 64. When I was little, boys, I remember little boys hurting themselves when they were playing outside, like falling off a bike and crying as they would and being punished for it. You know, it makes me cry because it's so mean. They're just cute little boys. You're a boy, don't cry, toughen up. And if they were playing sports and they got injured, like they broke their ankle, they should sit out, get some ice, go to the urgent care. No, you're a boy. You finish the game. Keep playing. That kind of stuff. That's how boys were raised, you guys. So it's understandable. What did they learn? My feelings are going to get me alienated from society. My feelings are bad. Why do I have them? I must be a bad person to have feelings. I'm going to push them down. And so once they do that, it's really hard to rekindle those feelings. They just kind of had to bury them, you know, because of how they were raised. Now, my kids were born after that. And when my kids were little, all the books were about, you know, raising emotionally healthy boys, how to raise a boy, you know, that kind of thing. So you will see that men under the age of 40 or under the age of 50, they're a lot more emotionally attuned. You're less likely to run into this problem with men under 50. They were raised at a time where like, oh, hey, you know, you fell down. You okay? You'll be okay. You know? So I think that's where a lot of that comes from. And if you don't have empathy, you cannot be sensual in bed. You have to be sensual. You have to be sensual. And if you're sensual and then you're comfortable with intimacy, if your parents never held you, never hugged you, you might be uncomfortable with touch. So if you can be comfortable with touch, you want sex to last a little bit longer because you're enjoying it. The guys who come really quick are not enjoying it. They're anxious about their little penis because they don't realize that little is fine. They're anxious about the closeness, the eye contact, the intimacy, the feelings, the connection. So they want to come quick and get it over with. And a woman doesn't really like that. We don't like those quickies. Well, you got me all turned on. Now you're going to leave me here, or you're going to get off before I'm even turned on. I think in summary, you need empathy and good health. I forgot to mention the good health. Good health is super important. If you're fat, you'll get out of breath in like 10 seconds in missionary. If you're fat, your pubic mound will hide several inches of your penis and it's hard to even find enough to put it in. If you're fat, you can't move, you might have erectile dysfunction, you're going to have a lot of pressure on your prostate, you're constantly going to be oozing, it's not pre-com, well, you can call it pre-com, but if you're fat, it's more likely to be just the pressure on your prostate, and that's really gross. If you're leaking from your penis a lot of prostate fluid, this is what happens if you're fat. You're going to keep leaking prostate fluid. It's pre-cum. You can have pre-cum if you're really turned on also, but guys who are fat are going to have a lot of it, and it's gross. Okay, women are supposed to get wet. Men are not supposed to get wet. In my opinion, I find it very gross. I don't want all this liquid oozing out. It's really gross because you're fat. If you're fat and unhealthy and you don't exercise, your arteries, your blood vessels, and your heart are going to be in a very poor state. Your penis to get hard, your penis will naturally get hard if you're healthy because your arteries are clear. It has nothing to do with cholesterol. The whole cholesterol myth is a whole different thing. If you eat healthy, you need a lot of cholesterol, in my opinion. I've listened to a lot of different videos from doctors on it. If your arteries are clogged, it's because you're eating too much sugar. And it's the insulin resistance and the poor liver functioning that's keeping the cholesterol from running through. And it gets your arteries, if your arteries are unhealthy, things stick to it, like the cholesterol that you need. So the men that eat clean, that do cardio, have hard erections well into their mid-70s. I've seen it. Well into their mid-70s. The ones that eat clean and do cardio. With none of this leakage stuff going on. So if you're kind of physically gross, nobody wants to fuck you. I'm sorry. Like, no. It would be the same as a man wanting to have sex with a 400-pound woman who's, I don't know, like 400 pounds. Maybe that's a fetish for some of you, but most guys would be like, no, thank you. And when guys are fat, they have like a lot of stuff going on. Like there's inner thighs rub together and the thin skin gets very dark because it's got too much fat. Like it's just gross. They can be the nicest guys. Desire and arousal have nothing to do with how nice you are, how kind you are, how loving you are, how good of a listener you are. Desire and arousal have to do with attraction. So, attraction, I didn't talk about this in the beginning. I'm just remembering more things now. Attraction also has to do with, like, am I physically attracted to you? Do I find you physically attractive? Do I find you emotionally attractive? I think for men, it's just like, is she hot? I'll bang her. For men, it's just the visual. But for women, it's, I said the emotional, but it's also the physical. Is he attractive? Do I feel connected to him? And fat guys are just not attractive. Sometimes you can feel attracted to them because they're funny. But then when you go to fuck them, I don't know how good it is. I don't really know. I would have a hard time with that. I'm just trying to give you some tips here on how to be better in bed. If you take good care of yourself and you're an empathetic person without being a pushover, you can't be a doormat or a pushover, that's a turn off, then you're more likely to get a lot of sex. So those are my tips. I would love for you guys to add some more to these tips. And I know some people like the short videos, so that's why I made like a short thing at the beginning, a summary. But some people like the longer video. So I know there's some channels, people do clips. I think the clips are a good idea. And I also, with some people, will just watch the clips because I don't always want to watch the long form. But with some people, I really like the long form. Like this morning at 9 o'clock, I'm going to watch Patrick Henningsen on Sunday morning Daily Wire. What's the show called again? I'll tell you. 21st Century Wire. I also like listening to Colonel Daniel Davis show. I like his voice. I listened to his whole video. And earlier today, I listened to Dimitri Lascaris, who has a channel called Reason to Resist. I really like his voice. So I also listen to Candace Owens. It's because I really like what she has to say, although she goes on and on. Sometimes I get that people want the short clip. So I try to do both. Give you guys what you want. If you also ever want to talk to me, you have like questions or something, you can schedule a phone call or video call with me. So I'll leave all that information in the description. Thanks for watching my video, everybody.